Hi, third grade. Okay, first of all, I want you guys to forgive me for wearing the hat today. I wasn't expecting to do a learning video this afternoon, but something came up that I want to talk to you guys about, so forgive me for wearing the hat. You're going to also notice I have my face covering for if I need to go out in the community. I have hand sanitizer in my bag, and I have gloves to wear if I need to. Okay, bear with me today, guys. We're going to talk about subtraction. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can look at your subtraction problems. You can choose the one you like the best and work with it. If you need to go back and look at the video again to remember how, that's fine. Okay, before you start, you're going to need a pencil. You're also going to need a clean sheet of paper to help you out. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and start by writing a subtraction problem on my paper, and we'll talk about this. All right, let's see here. I'm going to start with the number 372. And I'm going to take away 165. Okay, there's my problem. Now, before we even start subtraction, I want you guys to stop and look at the problem that you're working on. When you are doing subtraction, it makes a difference which number is on the top when you work your problem out this way. When you are looking at this, you need to make sure that this top number is larger than the bottom number. And I know I have people asking this as well. But Mrs. Burrows, what if they write it this way? Okay. What if they give you a subtraction problem that way? Is there anything here that tells me I can't rewrite it so that I can work with it? I don't see anything there that says I can't rewrite it so that I can work with it. So I'm going to rewrite this problem. I'm going to write it correctly. And I want you guys to look at how I wrote it. When it's subtraction, it makes a difference which number is on top. Look at both numbers, and the big number has to be on top. 372 is larger than 165, so I put 372 on the top. Okay, I know this number is larger. This one's on the bottom, so we're ready to roll. Now, you may have done this in your class before. I'm actually going to draw a line between the numbers, and I want to look carefully at these. When we line these up, we need to make absolutely sure that we have the right numbers in the right place. We call this row the ones, we call the middle row the tens, and we call this last one the hundreds. Now, we may even have to go into the thousands if it's a very, very large number when we do our subtraction. But we'll look at that a little later. Okay, let's start with this right here. Now, remember how I said that the big number needs to be on top? It also holds true for when you're looking at each column, the ones column, the tens column, the hundreds column. When you look at the beginning of each column, you need to make sure that the big number is still on top. I have a 2 on top and a 5 on the bottom. Is 2 bigger than 5? No. Okay, we're going to back up just a little bit here, and I'm going to go to my Elmo, and I want to talk about this real quick and see what we can do with that ones column. Okay, over here, I have an assortment of base 10 blocks. I have ones cubes, I have 10 sticks, I call them, I have hundreds flats, and then I have this big yellow guy that's a thousands cube, and we'll take a look at all of these. I'm going to start with my ones cubes first, though. Okay, just a reminder, in my ones cubes, how many ones cubes is it going to take for me to make a 10 stick? If you said 10, you are correct. Let me get all these lined up. Let's see, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10 ones cubes make up a 10 stick. So at some point, I might have to take a 10 stick and chop it back up into ones, cut it back up into ones. Okay, I'm going to get these out of the way for a minute. Now I have all my 10 sticks here. And 10 sticks, remember we said we could chop it back up into ones. How many of these 10 sticks is it going to take to make one of the hundreds flats? Let's find out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It took exactly 10, and they match perfectly. I could say that these two shapes are congruent. They matched perfectly. Okay, now having said that, if I at some point, I might have to take this hundreds flat and cut it back down into tens if I have to. Okay, now for the big guys up here. I have all my hundreds flats here. How many hundreds flats am I gonna need to make this thousands cube, this big guy? Let's see, I'm gonna put it this way and let's find out. I had 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Let's see if they match. Yep, it took me 10 hundreds flats to get it to match, and these two shapes are now congruent. Okay, now that we've talked about that, I would like to set up our problem. 372, okay. Here's my 2 ones for the 372, and I had 4, 5, 6, 7 tens. I had 7 tens, and I had 3 hundreds. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now let's look at the numbers at the bottom. I had 5 ones down here. 5 ones. I had 6 10 sticks, so there's 6. And I had 1 hundreds flat. Okay, now I want to look at this. Now I know sometimes the third graders get really, really excited and they want to just start subtracting right away. Like I know I have some students that say, oh, 2 take away 5, 2 take away 5, that's 3. Now wait a minute, hold on. Remember what I said about looking at the subtraction problem? Check your numbers, check each column when you work with it. Is the bigger number on top? 2 is not bigger than 5. Now, this guy here, 2, is a little bit too small. 5's a little bit bigger than he is. 2's going to have to go next door to the 10s and say, hey, I need some help with this guy downstairs. The 2 can come over and go to the 10s. Now, I had 7 10 sticks up there. I had 7. And he can say, hey, I need some help with this guy downstairs. Can I borrow one of you? Okay, he's going to go over here to the 10s and the 7. I had 7 10 sticks. Now, I'm going to take one of those 10 sticks. I'm going to take the 10 stick out of there, and when I do, now I'm going to go here and show that I looked. I had 7, I'm going to cross that out, and now I only have 6 10s left because I took one. I am regrouping this guy. I'm going to take this 10 stick and I'm going to chop it back up into ones. Let me exchange it over here. Let's see. Okay. Here's the 10 stick. I'm going to break it up into 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. So what I've done is I'm taking this 10 stick and I'm going to chop it back up and I'm going to make it 10 ones. There we go. Now I've got my 10 ones there. Chop this guy up, and now I only have 6 10s here. I chopped it back up, and now I have more than 2. Here's the 10 that I carried over there, and the 2 ones that were already there. Now if you look at this, you actually have 1s and 10s. Here's the 10 that I borrowed from the 10s. Here's the 2 ones that it started with. So now I have 12 ones take away 5. Now that I can do. 12 is big enough to handle 5. Now, if you're not sure what it is, you can count up from 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 7. So I have 7 ones left over, and I'm going to show that over there. Okay, I had my 12 ones, and I am going to take 5 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We had the 5 down below. I'm going to move that out of the way, and I took those 5 out of the 12 that were there, and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones left. Okay, now I've got my ones column done. Now I want to go to my tens column. Now when I'm looking at that, I notice that I had to take one of the 10s to make it into ones again, so I've only got 6 left. 6 10s take away 6 10s. Is 6 big enough or equal to handle 6? Can we do that? Yep, 6 is big enough to handle 6. 5, 6, and I take 6 away, I'm going to have 0 left. So let's take care of that. Okay. We have the 6, and I'm taking 6 away from it, so we have none left. Okay, let's take a look now at my hundreds. I had 300s, take away 100. Now look, is the 300 bigger than the 100? It is bigger than the 100. So I can go ahead and take away 100 from the top number, and I end up with 200s left. So what I have left right now are 207 things. Make sure, have seen third graders make mistakes on their answers like this. They forget that we have to hold the place with a 0, and they just write 27, and that's not the true answer. Make sure that if you have no 10s left, you remember to put the 0 in there to make it 207. Okay, now there's one way we could have looked at this problem. So I had 372, take away 165. Okay, let's take a look at that. I had, I'm going to write this down here, 372, take away 175. 165, I believe it was. Okay. All right, now I'm going to show you a different way to try this. Again, if you have a problem that is written horizontally like this, 372 take away 165, you don't have to work it out this way. There's nothing here that tells me I can't rewrite this problem so that I can work with it. I'm just going to rewrite it down here somewhere else. If you have scratch paper or a place on the side of your paper, you can rewrite this problem if you need to. Okay, I'm going to show you a different way to tackle a problem like this. This time I'm not going to be using the base 10 blocks. I'm going to be using actual money to talk about it. Remember, we have a ones column, a tens column, and a hundreds column. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any $100 bills, so I'm going to rewrite this up here so we remember. I had 372 ones, tens, and hundreds. That means I had 165 to subtract from that. Now I want to think about this again. When we are doing subtraction, make sure the big number is on top. Is 372 bigger than 165? Yes, so we've got it set up right. Now, I want to go back and remember that we have a ones column, a tens column, and a hundreds column. Okay, now starting out, I'm going to go ahead and start with my ones, and I'm going to go here with my ones. It says I have 2 ones, take away 5 ones. Okay, there's 1 1, there's 2 ones. 2 ones in my ones column. I have 7 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't think I have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I have 7 tens in this column. All right, so I have 2 ones, 7 tens, and over here I have 3 hundreds. Take away 1. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Is 200, two ones, am I able to take 5 ones out of that? I'm not. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come over here, and I'm going to go to my 7 ones, and I'm going to take one of these 10s to put back over here in the ones column. Okay, there's my 10 that I'm adding in there. Now when I count this out, I only have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 left. I only have $60 left over here, so this is going to be $60. Now, I added the 10 that I borrowed from my tens column. I took that 10 and put it into the ones. Now, I'm going to actually make change for this. I'm going to get my ones and change. I'm going to make 10 ones. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I've got 10 ones and change. I'm going to add that up here to what I already have, the 2 that's already there. Now, I added $10 to that. So So here's the 2 ones that I already had, the 2 $1 bills, and then that 10 that I added to it. So now I have $12. Is 12 big enough to take away 5? It sure is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm taking away 5. Okay, and let's see how much I have left now. I have 1, 2, whoops, it's stuck together. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 $1 bills left now. Okay, so 12 take away $5 is 7. Now I had 6 10s left, and I'm going to take 6 10s away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't have any 10s left, so now I have 0. Now let's go to my hundreds. If I had $300 bills and I took 1 away, I'd only have 2 left. Now there's another way, that's a different way you could think about it. You could take the $10, change it back into ones. You could even take 100 and change it back into 10s if you had to. There's another way that you could do that. Okay, the last way that I'm going to show you guys how to do the subtraction is going to be doing expanded form. And I also call it decomposing the number, taking the number apart. And sometimes this is easier for people to do as well. Okay, let me get my big money out of there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take the same numbers that we started with. I believe it was 375. And I am going to subtract 162. Okay, now again, if they had written this problem horizontally, 375, take away 162, and you're not sure how to do that, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, there's nothing here that says you can't rewrite the problem. I'm just going to rewrite it up there so I can work with it. Okay, let me get that out of there. Now, I'm going to show you this way you could also work on subtraction. You could also do the expanded form. I'm going to start with the biggest place value I have. And I notice 375 is larger than 162, so it's on top. That's the right place for it to be. My value of the 3 is actually 300. I'm going to break this down and write which the value is of each number. The 7 is actually worth 70, and the 5 is just worth 5. Now I'm also going to break this number down. This number is worth 100. This number is worth 60, and this number is worth 2. Now I'm going to do my subtraction. Let's take a look at this. You know what? I moved those numbers around, didn't I? Yep. Okay. So let me change my problem. I moved those numbers in the wrong place. It was supposed to be 2 here and 5 here. All right. Okay, and I screwed that up. So this is 2, and this is going to be 5. Okay, now we're doing subtraction. I want you to think. I know we have plus signs here, but this is the expanded form. I want you to look at this 2. Is 2 big enough to handle 5? No, it is not. So I'm going to go next door to the 10s. I have 70 10s. I'm going to take one of the 10s. If I take a 10 away from that, I only have 60 left. But I am adding a 10 to the ones place. And 10 plus 2 more, doesn't that give me 12? So now I have 12 up here. And I know 12 take away 5 is going to give me 7 ones. Okay, now in my 10s, 60 is what I have left. 60 take away 60 gives me 0 10s. I'm just going to put a 0 there. Now let's do our hundreds. 300 take away 100. I know zeros are going to give me zeros. And then 300 take away 100 is 200. Now let's write our final answer here. I had 200 added to no 10s, added to 7 ones, 207. Okay, so here's another way that you could look at this problem to make it easier for you. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, what I am going to do is go ahead and move on, and I am going to talk about what you're going to do if you have zeros in your subtraction. Okay, I'm going to start with the number here. I'm going to say we have 300 take away 162. 65. Now let's take a look at that. They could have also written the problem this way. Now, if you don't feel comfortable doing it horizontally, you can rewrite it so that it's something you can work with, okay? Now, you can think of any of those other ways that I showed you how to do this. You could think about your base 10 blocks. These are all ones cubes, 10 sticks, hundreds flats. You could also think about it as money, $1, $10, $100, or you could do the expanded form, 300, subtract 100 plus 60 plus 5. I'm going to go ahead and start by looking at the base 10 blocks. Let's look at that. If I were to build this, I'm going to make it into ones, tens, and hundreds. Here we are. Here's my ones, my tens, my hundreds. Okay, now remember what I said about the big number needs to be on top. Let's take a look. 300 is bigger than 165, so we're good there. But now I want to go to the ones column. Is the 0 bigger than the 5? Nope. Now, in the past, we've always come over here to the tens to get help for that, but wait a minute. There's nothing there. So we've got to keep going on till we can find something to work with. 0 is not big enough to handle 5 down here. 0 is not big enough to handle 6, and there's nothing for me to use from here to help build my 1. So I'm going to have to keep going. I'm going to have to go all the way over to the hundreds. Now, I have 300. 3 I can work with, so I'm going to look at this. If I had 3 hundreds flats, and I take 1, I had 3 and I'm taking 1, I only have 2 hundreds flats yet left. Here is the hundreds flat I borrowed. Now, that is not a 1, that is a 100. I borrowed a 100s flat. Okay, and I put it there. There's my 100 flat. Now, I also mentioned when you have a hundreds flat, can I change it into tens? Yes, I could. How many tens am I going to get out of this? I'm going to get 10 tens. Okay, so let me put that up here. I'm going to chop it back up into tens. So now, instead of no tens, I have 10. I cut this back up into tens. Now, is 10 big enough to handle 6? It sure is, but wait a minute. I haven't done my ones yet. Okay, so let's come over here and look at the ones. Now, I ended up, after doing that, I had my 10 tens. Remember, I chopped it up into 10 tens? I have 10 tens again. Okay? Do I have something that I can come next door and borrow from or regroup with? Yes, I do. 0 is not big enough to handle 5. I now have 10 tens. I can take a 10 from here. I have 10 and I just dropped one. Okay, taking 1 out. If I take 1 out, I now have 9 tens left. And here's the 10 I borrowed next to the 0 ones that I started with. So now, instead of no ones, how many ones cubes do I have now? I have 10. Now I can do this ones column. So I have 10 ones, take away 5 ones. I'll have 5 ones left. Remember, I had to take one of the tens to figure out my ones, so I only have 9 left. 9 tens, take away 6 tens is going to give me 3 tens left. 2 hundreds, take away 1. Remember, I only have 2 left because I had to take 1 and chop it back up into tens. I have 100 left, so I have 135. Okay, now you could also think about doing that with the money, or you could do the expanded form. I'm going to go ahead and show you expanded form down here. Again, we had 300, take away 165, and I'm going to do the expanded form. I'm going to do the expanded, and we also call that decomposing. Now I'm going to start with the big number first. What's the value of the 3? Isn't it worth 300? Okay. Do I have any tens? No tens. Do I have any ones? Nope. Okay, so 300 is actually 300 plus no tens plus no ones. Now let's do the same thing with 165. What's the value of the 1? It's worth 100. Added to 6 tens, which is actually 60, added to 5 ones. Now, same thing. When I started, 300 is a larger number. It's on top. Now let's go to my ones, tens, and hundreds. Look at my ones. Is 0 bigger than 5? It is not, so I'm gonna have to come next door and borrow a 10, but there's no 10. So I'm gonna have to keep going on down here to the hundreds. There's 100 I can work with. I have 300, I'm gonna take one of the hundreds. Now I only have 200 left, and I'm going to add it into the tens. Now, I have 100 here now, plus nothing here. Okay, I have 100 now. Now, can I take this 100? I'm not gonna subtract yet, but I still don't have anything for my ones. If I have 100 things here, don't I have 10 tens? I'm gonna take one of these tens, and now I only have 9 tens or 90 left. I'm gonna take the 10 that I used and put it into my ones. Now I have 10 ones. 10 ones take away 5 ones, gives me 5 ones. 9 tens, 90, take away 60, gives me 30. And 200 take away 100, gives me 100. So let's look at my final answer. 100, the value is 1, 3 tens, and 5 ones. There's another way that you could work that out. Okay, now the big problem that I saw was some people were having some trouble with subtracting into the thousands column. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to build a big number. And remember, it is just the same as when you were doing ones, tens, and hundreds. You just have to go one more column over. Okay, let's try that. I'm going to start with 7,000, and I'm going to keep it with zeros. 7,000, and let's take away 1,257. Okay, now if they gave you a problem like that, written horizontally, and you don't feel comfortable doing it this way, is there anything here that says you can't redo it, rewrite it? Nope, I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm subtracting, so I want to take the biggest number. The biggest number was 7,000. I'm going to put it on the top, and then I'm going to do my subtraction, write the smaller number on the bottom. Okay, now I've got it written in a way that I think I can work with it. Now, just like before, you are going to have ones, you're going to have your tens, and you're going to have your hundreds, and you're going to have your thousands. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I'm going to start at my ones column. 7,000 is the larger number. It's bigger than 1,257, so we're good so far. But now I want to look just at the ones column. Is 0 bigger than 7? Nope. I'm going to have to go next door and get some help. Remember, I can chop those 10 sticks back into ones, but there's no 10 sticks. So I'm going to have to keep going. I'm going to go to the hundreds, because I can chop up hundreds flat into 10 sticks, but there's no hundreds flat, so I got to keep going. I'm going to go all the way over to the thousands. This I can work with. There's 7,000. So that means they're going to have 7 of these things, 700 or thousands cubes. Now, if there are 7 of these cubes, and I regroup and I take one, I'm only going to have 6 left. I'm going to take that 1,000 and put it back into my hundreds. I have 10 hundreds. Now I remember taking 10 hundreds flats and making a thousands cube. So now I have 10 of those. Now I can't just say 10 hundreds take away 2 hundreds. I haven't done my tens yet. Now though, I can come over and take one of those hundreds. I'm going to come over here and cross that out. I'm taking one of the hundreds flats. So instead of 10, I now have 9 left. Here are the 10 sticks that I got out of that 100 flat. I took one of the hundreds flats, cut it back up into 10 sticks, and now I have 10 sticks. But I can't just say 10 sticks take away 5. I haven't done my ones yet. Now, there's enough 10 sticks over there that I can come over and take one. I am taking a 10 stick, I now have 9 left, and I chop that 10 stick back up into ones. And now I have 10 ones. This I can do. 10 ones take away 7 ones is 3. 9 sticks take away 5. 10 sticks is 4. 9 hundreds flats take away 2 hundreds flats is 7. And then remember, we put a comma before the 1,000. 6,000 cubes take away 1,000 cubes gives me 5,000 cubes. Now we could also do this writing it out in expanded form. This would be value 7,000 plus no hundreds plus no tens plus no ones. And this could be written as 1,000 is my value, added to 200, added to 50 tens, and added to 7 ones. I can do the same thing I was doing before. Now I'm going to start my ones column again. I have no ones. 0 is not bigger than 7, so I'm going to go to my 10 sticks. There are no tens, can't do it. Go to my hundreds, no 10 or hundreds, can't do it, so now I need to go to my thousands. I have thousands I can use. I am going to take one of the thousands. That leaves 6,000 left, and I am going to take it over here and put it into my hundreds. Now, if I have 1,000, isn't that 100 hundreds? So I have 100 hundreds. Now, 100s, let's see, I have 1,000. So I have 1,000 hundreds flats. Now, I can't just say 1,000 take away 200. It's not going to work. I still need to do my tens. Now, if I have 1,000 10 sticks, I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to make it into 900. I had 1,000, I'm taking one now, I have 900. Here are the 100 10 sticks that I borrowed. Now I can do this, but I can't say 100 take away 50 yet because I haven't done my ones. Now I have enough 10 sticks, I have 100 of them, that I can cross this out and I can make this 9 10 sticks. I had 10 sticks, now I have 90, and I can say that I have 10 here. So what I've done is I couldn't take 0 from my tens or 0 from my hundreds. I came to my thousands, took one of them, I had 6,000 left. Here is the 1,000 or 10 flats, or 10 hundreds flats I had. I took one of the hundreds flats, left 900 left, put it over here. I had 100 tens. I took one of the tens, now I have 90 tens. Here's the 10 I took. 10 take away 7 gave me 3. 90 take away 50 gives me 40. 900 take away 200 gives me 700. And 6,000 take away 1,000 gives me 5,000. And when I write my answer, I had 5,000, don't forget your comma, 743. Okay. Now, if you still have some questions about your subtraction, let myself know, let Mrs. Duncan know, let Ms. Comers know. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks for joining today, guys.